In a cozy forest, there lived a little squirrel named Sammy. Sammy loved to collect acorns and hide them for winter. One day, while Sammy was gathering acorns, he saw a little bird named Bella. Bella looked very hungry. Sammy wanted to keep all his acorns, but he also didn't want Bella to be hungry. So Sammy decided to share a few acorns with Bella. Bella was so grateful. "Thank you, Sammy," she chirped. "You're a true friend." That winter, when the snow covered the ground and food was hard to find, Bella returned the favor. She brought Sammy some berries she had found. Sammy realized that sharing made both of them happier and safer. Moral: sharing with others makes everyone happier. Tommy the turtle was very shy. He always stayed close to his mom and never liked to try new things. One day, Tommy's friends invited him to play in the big pond, but Tommy was scared. The pond looked so big, and he had never swum in such deep water before. Tommy's mom gently encouraged him. "It's okay to be scared, but you'll never know what you can do unless you try." Tommy took a deep breath and slowly waddled to the pond. He dipped his toes in the water and, to his surprise, it wasn't so bad. With his mom watching and cheering him on, Tommy swam out to his friends. Soon, he was splashing and playing, having the best time ever. Tommy realized that sometimes being brave means trying something new, even if it's a little scary. Moral: it's okay to be scared, but being brave can lead to new adventures. Story 6: The Little Seed's Big Dream. Once upon a time, there was a tiny seed buried deep in the ground. The little seed dreamed of growing tall and strong like the big trees in the forest. But the seed was worried. What if I'm too small to grow? Every day, the sun shone warmly on the earth, and the rain gently watered the ground. The little seed began to sprout and slowly pushed its way through the soil. As the days passed, the seedling grew taller and stronger, reaching up to the sky. The little seed had become a beautiful, tall tree with branches full of green leaves. All the animals in the forest loved to rest in its shade, and birds built their nests in its branches. The little seed had become exactly what it dreamed of: a big, strong tree. And it learned that even the smallest of seeds can grow into something wonderful with time and care. Moral: with patience and care, even small things can grow into something great. Story 5: Lila and the Lost Kitten. One day, a little girl named Lila was playing in her backyard when she heard a soft meow. She looked around and found a tiny kitten all alone. The kitten was lost and scared. Lila knew she needed to help. She gently picked up the kitten and brought it inside. Lila gave the kitten some milk and a warm blanket. Then she asked her mom if they could help find the kitten's home. They put up posters around the neighborhood and soon found the kitten's owner, who was so happy to have their pet back. The owner thanked Lila for being so kind and caring. Lila felt proud. She knew that helping someone in need, whether it's a person or a little kitten, is always the right thing to do. Moral: helping others, no matter how small, is always important. Once upon a time, in a bright, sunny forest, there lived a little bunny named Benny. Benny was very curious and loved to hop around and explore. One day, just then, a kind fox named Fiona heard Benny crying. Even though foxes usually hunt bunnies, Fiona was a good fox who always wanted to help others. She gently asked Benny, "Why are you crying, little bunny?" "I'm lost, and I can't find my way home," Benny sniffled. Fiona smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll help you find your way back." So Fiona and Benny walked through the forest together. Fiona made sure to keep Benny safe and calm by telling him funny stories. After a while, they found Benny's home. Benny was so happy. He hugged Fiona and said, "Thank you, Fiona. You're the best fox ever." Fiona smiled and said, "Always remember, Benny, it's important to be kind and help others, no matter who they are. Moral: always be kind and help others, even if they're different from you. Story 7. The Helpful Hedgehog. In a peaceful meadow, there lived a little hedgehog named Henry. Henry was very shy and didn't have many friends, but he loved to help others. One day, while Henry was gathering berries, he saw a little rabbit stuck in a bush. The rabbit was crying, "Help! I'm stuck and I can't get out." Henry carefully approached the rabbit and used his tiny paws to help untangle the rabbit from the bush. The rabbit was so happy to be free and thanked Henry with a big hug. From that day on, the animals in the meadow saw how kind and helpful Henry was, and they all wanted to be his friends. Henry learned that being kind and helpful can make you a great friend to others. Once upon a time, in a bright, sunny forest, there lived a little bunny named Benny. Benny was very curious and loved to hop around and explore. One day, just then, a kind fox named Fiona heard Benny crying. Even though foxes usually hunt bunnies, Fiona was a good fox who always wanted to help others. She gently asked Benny, "Why are you crying, little bunny?" "I'm lost, and I can't find my way home," Benny sniffled. Fiona smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll help you find your way back." So Fiona and Benny walked through the forest together. Fiona made sure to keep Benny safe and calm by telling him funny stories. After a while, they found Benny's home. Benny was so happy. He hugged Fiona and said, "Thank you, Fiona. You're the best fox ever." Fiona smiled and said, "Always remember, Benny, it's important to be kind and help others, no matter who they are." Moral: always be kind and help others, even if they're different from you. Little Lion, who had the brightest smile in her forest. Everyone loved Mia's smile because it made them feel happy too. But one day, Mia noticed that her friend Little Tiger was sad and didn't want to play. Mia walked over to Leo and asked, "Why are you sad, Leo?" Leo sighed and said, "I lost my favorite toy, and now I can't find it anywhere." Mia thought for a moment and then gave Leo a big, warm smile. "Don't worry, Leo," she said. "I'll help you find it." Mia and Leo searched together, and with Mia's help, they soon found the toy. Leo was so happy, and he smiled just as brightly as Mia. From then on, Mia knew that a smile and a helping hand could make even the saddest day better. Moral: a smile and kindness can make everything better. Ella was a little girl who loved to look at the stars. Every night she would wave at the twinkling lights in the sky. One evening, a bright star twinkled extra brightly and seemed to be waving back. Ella smiled and said, "Hello, star." To her surprise, the star spoke. "Hello, Ella. I'm Sparkle, the friendly star. I shine brightly so that everyone can feel safe at night." Ella was amazed. She asked, "Why do you want to make everyone feel safe, Sparkle?" "Because everyone deserves to feel safe and happy," Sparkle replied. "When you do something nice for others, it makes the world a brighter place." Ella thought about what Sparkle said. The next day, she decided to help her little brother when he was scared of the dark. She held his hand and said, "Don't worry, I'm here with you." Her brother smiled, and Ella felt as bright as a spark in the sky. Story 8. The Brave Little Ant. In a bustling anthill, there lived a little ant named Andy. Andy was smaller than the other ants and sometimes felt left out. One day, the queen ant announced that a big feast was coming and all the ants needed to gather food. The other ants were quick and strong, but Andy was determined to help. He found a small crumb and carried it back to the anthill. It wasn't much, but Andy was proud of what he had done. Later that day, a strong wind blew through the meadow, scattering the food that the bigger ants had gathered. The ants were worried there wouldn't be enough for the feast. But then they noticed Andy's crumb, still safe and sound. The queen ant smiled and said, "Andy's hard work has saved the day." Andy realized that even though he was small, his efforts made a big difference. Moral: no matter how small you are, your hard work can make a big difference. Story 11. The Fox Who Changed His Ways. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a sly fox named Felix. Felix was known for being tricky and selfish. He would often scare the smaller animals and take their food, leaving them frightened and hungry. One day, Felix saw a group of animals gathered around a big tree, laughing and sharing food. They were having a picnic. Felix's mouth watered at the sight of all the delicious treats. He decided to play a trick to steal the food. As Felix sneaked closer, he overheard the animals talking about a small rabbit named Rosie. Rosie had hurt her paw and couldn't find food. All the animals decided to save some of their picnic snacks to take to Rosie. Hearing this, something inside Felix started to change. He remembered how lonely he often felt, even though he had plenty of food. Felix wondered what it would be like to have friends who cared about each other. Instead of taking the food, Felix approached the animals and said, "I heard about Rosie's hurt paw. Maybe I could help deliver the food to her. I know where she lives." The animals were surprised but agreed. Felix carefully carried the food to Rosie's burrow. When Rosie saw Felix, she was scared at first, but then she saw the kind look in his eyes. "Here's some food for you, Rosie," Felix said gently. "I hope you feel better soon." Rosie smiled and thanked Felix. She invited him to stay for a while, and Felix realized how good it felt to be kind. From that day on, Felix decided to be a helpful and friendly fox instead of a tricky one. The animals in the forest noticed the change in Felix and soon welcomed him as a friend. Felix found that having friends was far better than taking things that didn't belong to him. Moral: it's never too late to change and become a better, kinder person. Lived an amiable panda named Patty. He loved crunching on bamboo shoots and rolling in the soft. But one day, Patty chased a fluttering butterfly too far into the unknown and got lost. Feeling alone and defeated, Patty sat and shed silent tears. A magical unicorn named Ula, shimmering like a rainbow, appeared. She observed the crying panda and approached. Her eyes bathed in kindness. She asked. Ula gave him an assuring nod and said, "Don't fear, Patty. Together, we'll get you back home." Then Ula and Patty traversing through the mystical forest, finding their way using Ula's magical light trail. After a long journey, they spotted the familiar bamboo grove. Patty, overjoyed at the sight of home, hugged Ula and said, "Thank you, Ula. You're the kindest unicorn ever." Ula smiled and said, "Always help those in need and spread kindness, regardless of who they are." The magical encounter ended with Patty waving goodbye as Ula disappeared into the twinkling stars. It's not the species, but the spirit of kindness which makes the world magical. Tommy loved apples. He had an apple tree in his yard that grew the juiciest, sweetest apples. Every day, he would pick an apple and eat it all by himself. One day, he noticed some of the other children in the neighborhood watching him sadly. Tommy's mom saw this and said, "Tommy, wouldn't it be nice to share your apples with your friends? They look like they would enjoy them too." Tommy thought about it and decided to give it a try. The next day, he picked apples and gave one to each of his friends. Everyone was so happy. They all sat together under the tree, laughing and enjoying the apples. Tommy realized that sharing made the apples taste even sweeter, and he had more fun eating them with his friends than alone. Story 9. Sophie and the Magic Paintbrush. Sophie loved to paint. One day, while she was painting in her garden, she found a shiny golden paintbrush hidden under a bush. Excited, Sophie decided to try it out. To her amazement, whatever she painted with the magic brush came to life. She painted a butterfly, and it fluttered off the canvas and into the sky. Sophie was thrilled, but didn't know what to paint next. Then Sophie noticed her neighbor, Mrs. Green, who was sad because her flowers had wilted in the hot sun. Sophie had an idea. She painted a beautiful garden full of colorful flowers, and as soon as she finished, the flowers appeared in Mrs. Green's yard. Mrs. Green was so happy and thanked Sophie for her kindness. Sophie realized that using her special gift to help others was the best thing she could do. Moral: using your talents to help others brings joy to everyone. Story 10. Tom and the Tiny Turtle. Tom was a little boy who loved to play at the beach. One day, he found a tiny turtle trying to make its way to the ocean. The turtle was slow and tired, and the waves seemed so far away. Tom gently picked up the turtle and said, "Don't worry, little turtle, I'll help you." He carefully carried the turtle to the water's edge and watched as it swam happily into the sea. Tom felt proud and happy, knowing he had helped the tiny turtle reach its home safely. The next time Tom saw a tiny creature in need, he didn't hesitate to help, knowing that even the smallest act of kindness can make a big difference. Moral: helping others, no matter how small, is always the right thing to do.